Hey guys, today we're taking a look at the new McFarlane DC Multiverse Clock King. Let's get a better look at that packaging, shall we? And so here is the packaging up close and personal here. We of course, up at the very top, we of course have the 22 moving parts, the McFarlane Toys logo up there. And then we of course have the 12 plus, meaning this is for ages 12 and over, with, of course, the silver trim around the packaging, indicating that this is a collector edition version of the Clock King here. On the side, you, of course, have the McFarlane Collector Edition label right there. On the bottom, you have the DC Multiverse logo and the Clock King nameplate down there. On the side, you, of course, have the Clock King nameplate again, with the DC Multiverse logo up top, with the number 18, proving this is number 18 in the Collector Edition line of DC Multiverse. On the back, you have this 50s era Clock King panel here, and it's not sourced, so it has to be from like the 50s era, and it of course has Clock King right there. Up at the top and on the bottom, you of course have the McFarlane Toys social medias. Of course, follow them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's absolutely a phenomenal resource if you're trying to keep up on pre-orders and stuff like that when stuff drops. Really good resources. On the side, you of course have the McFarlane Collector Edition label again. Of course, it's Clock King. Up at the top, again, another DC Multiverse logo. On the bottom, the number 18 again, and the McFarlane Toys logo down there. And up at the very tippy top of the packaging, it's just a window. And on the bottom there, you have the Green Arrow legalese, because he is predominantly a Green Arrow villain. He has been a Batman villain in the past, but predominantly a Green Arrow villain. And on the other side, you have a barcode for all you barcode hunters out there. But alright guys, let's get this dude out of the packaging. And here is the Clock King out of the packaging. And of course, before we take a look at the character himself, we're of course going to take a look at the other contents. So up first, we of course have the standard hockey puck, which of course has the silver DC logo right there, the one peg, and nothing on the back. Nice solid hockey puck there. Up next, we of course have the card, which has that same panel from the back of the packaging. You, of course, have the McFarlane Collector Edition name going down there, totally ruining the flow of the entire piece of art right there. On the back, it has a bio on the Clock King, which is, from my assertion, and don't believe me, I'm not the hugest Clock King fan in the world, but from what I see here, they've got it pretty much on the money. Dude obsessed with clocks. At least in the animated series, he had one bad day, and then he became a clock-themed supervillain. You know, standard stuff. But in the books, I'm not too sure. I haven't read a single comic with Clock King actually in it. I'm more familiar with his appearances in mainly the DCAU, but I think I've seen him pop up a few times in Brave and the Bold and stuff like that. But up next, we of course have the card holder, which this is the biggest joke I've ever seen. Like, what the hell? I'm glad that in the most recent wave, which you can find reviews on the channel, he completely got rid of this for more appropriate accessories like hands and stuff like that, which is really cool, really good on you, Todd. And then he, of course, comes with two actual accessories he can hold in his hand, which are hand swords. And I love this because this is a pretty cool pun. Because, clock. But, yeah, he can hold them in his hand, like, give me a second. At least I think he's supposed to hold them like this. Oh, come on. Hands are stiffer plastic than the accessory, so you can do something like that, which honestly looks pretty cool. So you could do a lot of two-handed stuff, which would look pretty baller. But yeah, he's got clock hands. They're painted gold and stuff like that. And yeah, pretty cool hook sabers for whatever you're gonna do with Clock King there. But let's take a look at the actual figure here. And he looks like they used the arms from the Nightfall Batman. The arms and the legs look like they're from Nightfall Batman. I think I've seen this torso, but I don't know where, because I can't exactly pinpoint this right here, because I know this isn't for the figure. If they sculpted it for the figure, this would not be here. So I'm just wondering what reuse this figure actually is from. So if anybody knows that in the comments down below, let me know. And Clock King, you know, very basic figure, to put it bluntly. What is this? Like a piece of tape or something on the cape? I don't know. But yeah, he's a dude with a lot of clocks over him. He's one of those 50s guys where you just where they were like, make a guy, and they did. And so this is an example of one of those guys. So he's of course got the big clock on his face. I love the wackiness of it, and that's half the reason I even got this figure, because I saw the pre-order. I was like, no way, they're actually doing Clock King. And so I got him because of that. And he of course has a little mouth slit right there so he can breathe, obviously, because he's wearing a freaking mask thing. And then you of course have the all the different clocks with different individual times, which is cool. Because see, like, on the arm you have, what's that, 2 o'clock. Then you have, like, 11:40 something. And then over here you have, like, time, like 12:40 something. Like, all different kinds of times littered throughout the figure, and it's so cool seeing all those different clocks and stuff like that. And you of course have a clock on the belt buckle too. But besides that, it's relatively basic design. It's 2 colors mainly, you know, this lime green color right here, and he also has a wired cape, which I'll get to in a minute. It's this lime green and then this teal color, and it really makes him pop. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, it shouldn't work, but it does. And then he also has actual wristwatches on his wrists that go all the way around the figure, which is a nice touch. They didn't have to do that because on the source material, he does not have that. So it's cool they actually went in and gave him clocks on his wrist, which is dope. And then he also comes with a wired cape, which EA, wired capes, woo, fun. Even though it's a bit long, it's still fun to see. I love me a wired cape, so you can do all the things you want to do with it. You know, it's awesome. But yeah, let's get a look at that articulation now, since I basically ran through the whole figure. He's not exactly the most intricate figure on the planet in terms of detail, but let's get a look at the articulation here. So he can look up about that far. He can look down about that far. He can rotate his head all the way around, and of course head pivot like so. He has solid armpit joints right there. He can hinge that far up, rotate all the way around. He has bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, which, yikes, makes me think it's an older figure because modern McFarlane joints usually don't look that bad. And then we, of course, have the wrists, which move up and down, and then you can invert it, make it go in and out, which I absolutely love. These joints are awesome. I love the wrist joints on my McFarlane figures. And then you, of course, put your... And then for the abs, he can obviously go that far back, that far forward. I don't get why you would prefer him to do the limbo over ab crunch, but whatever. And then you, of course, can rotate all the way around like so. For the legs, you have standard McFarlane legs right there. He can move his leg up about that far, move his leg about that far. He has thigh pivot right there. He has double jointed knees, which I've seen worse. And great range as well. And then for the ankles, you of course have at the top rotation. At the bottom, you of course have the hinge, ankle pivot, toe articulation, and of course you have peg holes at the bottom of the feet. For our first comparison here, we have more goofy interpretations of some classic villains here. We of course have Mr. Freeze and 60s-ish Joker. It's the clown Joker from Three Jokers right there. And of course in the middle we have our new Clock King here. And I'd say these guys look great. If you want to do some kind of Silver Age display, these would be a great ones to start. Even though Freeze didn't look like that, he still looks close enough to that old aesthetic that it could work. And here is Clock King with more gritty interpretations of the rogues, with of course having Riddler here from the Arkham City Riddler, and the GameStop exclusive Killing Joke Joker, one of my holy grails in my collection. But with that being said, overall, these guys don't go really with him that much, but man, that would be cool to get like a darker version of Clock King in this outfit. I know it would look campy and dumb, but I think it would be really fun. I don't know. Just, I don't know. It's probably a dumb idea, but I don't know. There's something there. I feel like there's something there. Clock King next to the two heroes he appears against most often. We, of course, have Green Arrow right there. Clock King is a Green Arrow villain, even though I don't think in media outside of the comics we've ever seen Clock King go up against Green Arrow. But he's a Green Arrow villain, obviously. But in a lot of media, you see Clock King, you see him go up against Batman. So, is he more of a Batman villain or a Green Arrow villain? It's kind of like Deathstroke. Is he more of a Titans villain or a Nightwing villain? Like, personally, I think he's a Nightwing villain. But with this one, I don't know, actually. It's very dicey. And here we are kind of wrapping up on Clock King here. And overall, if you're not a huge fan of like the Silver Age, the more wackier side of comics, or if you just don't want to collect all of Batman's rogues, including the more obscure ones, I don't see why you'd have the desire to really pick up this figure. But then again, if you're viewing the video, wouldn't you at least be enticed by this figure? With that being said, he's a really good figure. I give him a 7. He's good. He's not like great or anything, but he's not bad. The wired cape definitely gives him a leg up because you can. There's so much for posing you can do with him. He of course comes with some hand swords, which is kind of fun, and just the overall wacky vibe of the character really puts him over the top for me. But of course, if you don't like that stuff, like the wackier side of comics, I wouldn't recommend picking this guy up and wait for more a suited version, which I can tell you it's probably coming. So if you want that version of the Clock King, I'd wait for that. But with all of that being said, you can of course like, comment, subscribe, tell me what you think about Clock King here down in the comments down below. I really like reading you guys' feedback. It really makes the editing process go by so much faster. With that being said, you can of course keep collecting and be kind of courteous to one another. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.